Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
8:06 here on this Tuesday morning. It's Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, and a merry one to each and every one of you as we head into the new year. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. And Julie, in 30 minutes, we're going to talk to Raymond Arroyo, of course, at EWTN, Fox News, and now he's on this Christmas tour where he wears a red velvet suit coat and sings Christmas songs like he's Bing Crosby. What is going on with this guy?
I love it.
I'm a little jealous.
Multi-talented.
We'll get into, like you, Julie. We'll get into all that in just a moment. But first, we're joined by the multi-talented Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer. Tony, of course, is president of London Center for Policy Research, CIA-trained former senior intelligence officer, and podcaster in his own right. Tony, Merry Christmas.
Hey, Christmas, Larry. Merry Christmas, Julie. Good to be here with you all.
Well, it wasn't a Merry Christmas for American service members serving in Iraq. I mean, it's already sort of, yucky to be spending Christmas in Iraq. But
right.
3 were injured in a terrorist attack from this group, the Iran-backed Kataib Hezbollah. This is just the latest of many attacks on our service personnel in Iraq. So, Tony, this response, I got to tell you, the statement from Lloyd Austin after we finally responded and struck against this Kataib Hezbollah group, he called them necessary and proportionate strikes. Necessary and proportionate? Why are these proportionate? Why aren't we wiping them off? He said it was intended to disrupt and degrade the capabilities of this Iran-aligned militia group. Why not just roll in there and destroy them completely? We have the capability of doing it.
Yeah, spoiler alert, it didn't deter them. It didn't degrade them. So just saying, they're going back. And this is one of the grand ironies that the very event we're talking about, Larry, makes Speaker Johnson's point. We have women, God bless them, serving on the line, over the holidays, 24/7, defending another country's border and sovereignty. Think about that. And yet we have, So this very incident should highlight to those who are sound-minded and clear in judgment, we have a problem in our own border we should be dealing with. But let's get back to Erbil. Erbil struck, this is not the first time, and one of the service members are in critical condition. So I don't know what the proportionality is when you essentially have terrorist groups, Hezbollah, as far as I'm concerned, is a terrorist group, conducting acts of terror all across the Middle East and against U.S. Forces now directly. And no, it's not going to deter or degrade them. If I'm in charge, and I think if you're going to be there, Larry, you've got to defend your folks. I think, we can always debate why we're there, but if you are there, you need to defend those people serving on the line. And we could be instantly, within 24 hours, hitting every ammo dump, every command and control location, every major center of gravity of these folks. And it's political choice by the Biden administration to not do that. So they continue to jeopardize American lives without any adequate response to defend them or what they're doing in Iraq or the region.
Mm-hmm. And they make America and the American military look bad.
Yes.
I saw a story this weekend. France, Spain, and Italy have announced their withdrawal from the U.S. command structure for Operation Prosperity Guardian. They have said that they will not, or they will only conduct maritime operations under the command of NATO or the European Union, not the United States. What does this say about these countries' faith in President Biden and our own military?
Well, let's talk first, Julie, where this is coming from. This is coming from the Express UK. This is only a very supportive paper of the United States and its policy. So the fact they're saying this is significant. Secondly, in the article that I'm referencing to this whole thing, they reference Joe Biden and the lack of faith in him as one of the reasons. So this tells me that the point you just made is absolutely clear in the mind of foreign leaders. They know the job. They know at this point that there's no leadership to be had from the Biden administration. And the reason that we're seeing this is because Biden administration doesn't want to lose. They don't want to win. They won't take a policy position on either side because it's Blinken, Austin, and others who basically want to try to posture the United States in a position so that domestically They're not seen as going against Hamas. I mean, this is a very difficult thing to circle, but they're trying to do it. That's why you see the completely at off messaging from the administration.
Yeah.
And at the same time, our guys, our gals, and frankly, commerce going through the Red Sea is now being jeopardized at the price of trying to go soft on terror because they don't want to. They are trying to articulate a policy that benefits them domestically. That's what this is all about.
Wait, and it benefit. Let's be completely blatant and clear about this.
Let's do that. Yes.
It benefits them domestically by acting like they're not against the Hamas terrorists because they've got a voting bloc motivated by a handful of congressmen and congresswomen, more specifically, who are on the side of the terrorists. I hate to put it that way, but Democrats can't.
Yes.
Basically, Biden is saying, Tony, that Democrats can't win unless they also appear to be on the side of terrorists.
Because they feel that small percentage, as wackadoo as they are and dangerous as they are. I mean, if you saw the news this morning regarding New York, multiple members of the NYPD were injured because of Hamas protests. Yeah, that's the Democrat Party of today. And I could say some things.
It's Michigan.
Trouble, but I think that's what.
It's Michigan, Tony. Michigan is a swing state, and there is if the Muslim American or Arab American or Middle East American voters stay home and don't vote Democrat, Republicans win Michigan. It's that simple. And so, therefore, he's handing over our national security priorities.
He's handed them over. And, look, this is going to get worse because we continue to support Hezbollah and Hamas by the fact that we're not responding to the attacks on U.S. forces. And, frankly, at this point, American world commerce. BP has said they're not going to go through the Red Sea. Maersk, the big shipper, said they're not going to do it. 12% of the shippers to the Red Sea. So this is all related. It's all like puzzle pieces which fit together if you actually know how to put the puzzle together. Biden, unfortunately, I think he's having a hard time putting things together on his plate when he has
sentences together. Yeah.
Tony
Shaffer is our guest. Tony, when you look at the response to the terror attacks and the Israel-Hamas conflict, when you look at Iran and handing billions of dollars over to Iran, funding those terrorist attacks, when you look at the ongoing quagmire in Ukraine and other foreign policy, and then, of course, the looming threat from China, you look at a national security basket case right now. What's the best approach for a Republican nominee for president here? Could this be a national security foreign policy election?
Well, this chaos is. I mean, this is what they want. They want the chaos because they think it gives them power. This is the Munchausen proxy. You create all these problems, and you're the guy that has to go fix them too. And the other thing, they're doing this because it creates the conditions for them to do things and be there. So the first thing a Republican candidate, should he win, and it would be to bring stability. For goodness sake, get the adults back in the room. I know there's several folks I speak to on a regular basis. You know most of them, Larry, and we talk about what would be necessary to get things together and rapidly put things back in order. The first priority has to be defending the border, our U.S. border. Second, has to be reestablishing a clear path and policy for our global security relating to our forces, and getting someone other than Spanky Banana, Tony Blinken, over at State Department to figure out what he has to do, how to move forward with actual diplomacy to bring the chaos to the end that we see globally. And by the way, I'm not necessarily sure that Spanky Banana was Tony Blinken's nickname in college. I've heard it was. I'm not sure, but he's a rock and roll guy, so I think that was his stage name.
Spanky Banana. How did you know that I was pausing because of the Spanky Banana?
I know you, Larry.
You bring this stuff just for us, and I appreciate it. Spanky Banana, college nickname for Tony Blinken. I wonder if that was his bunkmate that gave him that. I'm just curious. I'm sure he knew him better than anyone else. All right, we'll leave it
opens
there.
Doors, so to speak. Yeah.
God bless us, everyone. Tony, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
It is. I don't even know what that means. 8:15. Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Julie, I've seen this very strange trend on social media that I have to call attention to. Have you seen these homemade videos that parents are making? The camera is obviously set up in the room to capture the action. And you'll see kids playing with the Christmas tree and just, enjoying themselves in their jammies. It's maybe 2 days before Christmas, and the tree is assembled and the presents are there. And then, like, barging in the door like a home invasion is someone dressed up like the Grinch. And they come plowing through, and they take presents. They push the kids around. It gets physical sometimes because the kids start screaming. And sometimes they'll even take the tree and just, like, drag it out the door. And it's this prank on the kids that, oh, here comes the Grinch. The Grinch is stealing Christmas. And it's terrifying for the children.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing to do to kids. And these are little kids.
Oh, yeah, some of them are like 3 years old.
I am all for pranks, and I love a good prank. My kids do not come out to the car. Like, I'm always like, I'll be in the car waiting, and then they come out, and I honk the horn every time they get close because I love to see them jump. Yeah. And so I am all so mean. And you got to space them out, though, because they get used to it. So, but the point is I'm all for this. But this is traumatic. I mean, someone comes in and takes and yanks the tree around. They, as you mentioned, pushes around the kids. Don't do this to them. Don't do this to them. It literally looks like someone, like a robber, is coming in and violently ripping things from the house. It's
horrible.
Funny.
And
this
the
is another
Grinch
example.
Costume is kind of scary.
Well, it is scary. And again, these are very little kids. You're not reacting to like a bunch of teenagers sitting there. But I will also say, like, they're getting this is another example of why social media ruins everything. They're doing this for clicks. They're doing this because they probably have a YouTube channel and they're going to monetize this. It's horrible. Don't do this.
Well, doesn't Jimmy Kimmel famously ask his viewers to, like, make a video of parents telling their kids they're going to take their Halloween candy from them?
Yes, that's right. I'd forgotten about that.
And the kids freak out. And Kimmel actually puts it up on the air and has a big party.
But he's a terrible person, so
he's
totally
not doing
fits.
it. By the way, he announced he's not doing it this year because, times are tough and inflation is like, he doesn't want to make it bad on Biden.
Yeah, it's okay to traumatize kid when the economy's okay.
That's right. Or when there's a Republican in the White House.
And again, people are filming this with teeny kids. You have to understand, kids like look forward to this stuff. It's their, it's their big moment of the year.
Do not understand parents who get delight and joy out of terrorizing their children. I'm sorry. I don't either. I'm watching these videos and I can't even get enjoyment of them as a third-party observer. Now, don't get me wrong. If I'm in a restaurant and a kid is crying and having a fit, I love that. I get great enjoyment out of it because it's not my kid.
Right. Well,
and that's probably a little cruel of me, but this I cannot bring myself to enjoy.
But I will say there is a difference. I do enjoy a prank on my kids. I'm the prankster in the family, and I do like to if I can.
But did you do pranks on your kids when they were like 3?
Well, not really. No, I mean sometimes they come around the corner and I go.
Really?
Okay. No, I mean, they'd come around the corner and I'd go, boo. Like, or something little like that. But I wouldn't, someone breaking in the house.
Wouldn't put it on social media so I could be implicated.
I keep my abuse quiet.
Right, exactly. My emotional abuse is for my family only.
Right.
This stays in this house. I don't think that makes it better, Bob.
No, I know you're probably right. Okay, the only thing that ever approaches this is one year Easter fell on the same day as April Fool's Day.
Oh,
and we lined up 3 baskets all filled with vegetables. And the kids came down and they looked so sad. But of course we didn't let it wait, we didn't wait long. And then we brought out their
Well, and again, that's more your kind of thing. It's psychological torture. Where this is actual physically terrorizing these kids.
I was just going with the times.
They're literally they're sitting there quietly enjoying themselves, being like peaceful,
I know,
like
I get
a
it.
Hallmark movie. And then suddenly the door just bursts open and this green hairy fiend jumps in and starts ripping their presents.
And the video shows one kid actually trying to physically stop the Grinch.
Yes, he's
and
being
the Grinch
heroic.
Then pushes him down. Like, it's kind of violent. No. I mean, look, a little basket of vegetables, organic, of course, right? I'm just trying to be Gwyneth about this stuff,
I'm not going to make
Larry?
you feel better about what you do to your children.
Yeah,
and I just want... I've met your sons.
I do suggest, though, once they're older,
I want to reiterate to your sons that Uncle Larry is here for them if they need
Yes.
Get anything
Well,
off their
yeah,
chest.
they're not going to you for advice. I will tell you, I do suggest everybody, as your teenager comes out without a coat, by the way, in the middle of winter, just honk the horn a little.
Right as they
Very
pass in
funny.
front of the car, just go
Yes, it's very funny.
right
Just
at
a
them.
little one.
That's not funny. I love when you describe that. I just love to see him jump.
Just a little jump.
All right, but please don't do this Grinch thing.
No,
And
don't
if
do
you
this.
know anyone who does that, publicly shame them.
Discourage it.
Absolutely. It's 8:23. I had a little inside information here about my relationship with Julie Gunlock, my erstwhile co-host here on O'Connor and Company. Julie and I are sort of amateur foodies. We like cooking. We love presenting food for our family. And a lot of times people will put food out on social media, sort of showing, look what I made my kids. And once in a while, Julie will send one to me saying, oh, my God, can you believe how awful this looks? And they're bragging about it.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but now you've outdone yourself, because your pet peeve at Christmas now is all these people putting out, show me your fabulous holiday dinner, your
they brag
Christmas
about it,
plate.
yeah.
And it's all on paper plates.
What is wrong with people?
What-
What is wrong with people? Honestly, they
Nobody wants to do
literally
the
spend-
dishes.
Oh, come on. You spend all this time. I mean, first of all, grow up. Buy a dish, okay? Grow up. Be a grown-up. Be an adult. Buy a dish. And this is what I don't get. I mean, it's fine. If it's like, my son is going to make, at some point, ramen for the 7th time.
Right.
during
Hot dogs
the-
and mac
like,
and
fine,
cheese.
put it in a plate, whatever. Although I don't have any paper plates. Anyway, the point is,
Wait, there are no paper plates in the Gunlock.
No. And the idea that you spend all this time cooking and then you present it on a paper plate,
Yes.
straight to jail.
Look at my Christmas prime rib. I'm like,
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing? Buy a plate, people. Buy a plate.
And make sure you plate your food nicely as well.
That's right.
Coming up, Raymond Arroyo on this Christmas week. It is 8:36 on this day after Christmas. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks so much for joining us. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. And Julie, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling weird. It's the day after Christmas. It's Boxing Day. We got New Year's coming up. It's the holiday time. We've all been around our family. We're all sort of enjoying the spirit of the holiday. And we haven't talked nearly enough about presidential politics.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, isn't that all we're supposed to be talking about, is who's going to be president? All right. Well, coming up in about 10 minutes, we're going to give you the latest news. Apparently, there's real speculation about Nikki Haley being Trump's running mate, and I need to bounce that off of Julie Gunlock. But first, this is a treat. The velvet, mellifluous tones of big band icon, Christmas star Raymond Arroyo, with his latest album. I can't, what are all these things that we get to plug for Raymond? Merry and Bright, all the Christmas classics. There he is, looking like Frank Sinatra. Raymond Arroyo, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you, Larry and Julie. Thank you for having me on. For a moment there, I was worried I'd have to talk about Nikki Haley. I thought, is this my intro? I like the music a lot better. Thank you for that.
We will. If you want to stick around for that subject, we will. But no, I do want to talk about this. But listen, you are, of course, you're the host and managing editor of the weekly show on EWTN the world over, which Lord knows, with everything going on in the Vatican and the Catholic Church, you've got plenty to do there. Then you're, Laura Ingram's sidekick on Fox News. You're on Outnumbered. You're a New York Times best-selling author. You've got this children's book tales, The Magnificent Mischief of Tad Lincoln. You've got enough going on, Raymond. Why this Christmas album and then Christmas tour idea?
Well, a producer approached me because for many, many years on my EWTN show, during the Christmas special, Larry, I would sing with Andy Williams or Johnny Mathis or Aaron Neville or whoever was on the show that year. And, look, you did this. It was a part of me I thought I'd left behind. You sort of do it, and it's fine for Christmas. You sing a song, you move on. But they approached me about doing an album, and I said, well, I haven't sung in an awful long time professionally. If we're going to do it, I have to get back into training, which I did, went back to a vocal coach and sort of worked it up. And then I found a novel approach to the music. I mean, we decided to dig deep into each of these Christmas songs we think we know. And what I discovered is there's so many misunderstandings about when they were written, why they were written, the purpose of the song, the context. So if you use that to sort of guide the orchestrations as well as your performance, it changes everything. And look, I'm elated for a guy who's been doing TV for all these years, for the audience to embrace this. I mean, we were on Billboard's jazz and holiday charts, #1 jazz bestseller for 3 months running on Amazon. It's been incredible. And then we did the tour. Jose Feliciano came with me. Frankie Avalon was with me in Cleveland. To have the big band, it was just an explosion of joy for Christmas, which is just what we needed now. And after this, I'll probably do it again next year.
Great.
You know, Raymond, you mentioned you went back into training. What role has music played in your upbringing and in, before sort of you were involved in more of the political commentary side of things? Have you always sung? Is it a big part of your family?
Well, I grew up in New Orleans. I still live in New Orleans. And when you're in New Orleans, you can't. My grandfather was friends with Louis Prima. I met Sinatra when I was 18 and saw Sinatra, 30 times in concert. So, yeah, it's a huge part of my life. But it's a particular type of what I call classic American pop music. That is sort of, where I live, what I listen to all the time. And I think at Christmas time, that sound, that beautiful big band, lush sound, is just perfect.
Totally.
And because it captures a nostalgic feeling. Look, I always say this about Christmas songs. They at once put us in the past, the present, and the future. They're like prayers. They are present to all of those things. Your great-grandparents sang these songs. You're singing them, and your children's children will sing them. This is the only genre where that happens. No other genre of music has that power, that eternal power. And I think it's because it's touching on, it's straining for the divine.
You can get this album, by the way, at RaymondArroyoChristmas.com. And Raymond, the orchestrations are fantastic. The arrangements, your phrasing is great. You've been really working with your breath control. It's beautiful.
Yes,
I'm going to say this.
I'm glad you're the only one who would notice that.
No, your phrasing's phenomenal. I am a little. A couple of the keys are beautiful wheelhouse keys we have similar ranges, I think. And that makes it when you can sing a song that is in a great key for you and you can make your voice shine. It's just it must have felt great being in studio and singing a lot and just fitting your voice right in with those orchestrations.
Well, look, we wanted to capture the real. I love the excitement of having the band in the room with you, and when you have 20 pieces and they're in there with you, I didn't want to do the thing they do mostly now, where you bring the band in, and look, it's an economic consideration. I get it. You bring the band in, you record them, they go away, and you're in a booth for the next, 4 weeks.
Yeah, you sing to the track. Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. It kills the spontaneity, the musical conversation. But yeah, Kevin Costco, who did The Greatest Showman, the Lion King, Jungle Book, he did all of these orchestrations for me, and they are so beautiful. I mean, they really have they have a Count Basie shine to the edge of them, and they're just spectacular. They're beautiful, beautiful arrangements. So
I'd be remiss if I didn't bounce this latest story out of the Vatican off. You cover the Vatican like no one else at EWTN, and if anyone thinks, this isn't political, no, the Vatican is a political entity, and you cover the news and politics coming out of the Vatican better than anyone, Raymond. Mm-hmm. Where do you stand on this document, that it's not a change of doctrine, but it definitely was a shift in pastoral guidance for priests with regard to blessings and how they might be applied to people with same-sex attraction and most importantly, people with same-sex attraction who find themselves in a relationship? Because you can have same-sex attraction and not necessarily be in a state of sin, but if you're in an active relationship, it's kind of hard to square that circle, I would think, Raymond.
Well, look, this Pope particularly, this is his trump card. He uses this constantly. He doesn't want to. He knows he can't change doctrine. So what he's doing is adjusting practice so that it, in essence, changes the doctrine. Look, the things you do, the things people are willing to accept and take the time to enact in their lives, that becomes doctrine. Doctrine is lived. Doctrine is not something confined to books. But this Pope has made this distinction that, this is the doctrine, but this is how we're going to conduct our lives. But you see, we're not disturbing the doctrine. Well, actually, you are. And look, many were disturbed many years ago when the Pope said, if you're a divorced and remarried Catholic, you can come to communion without having an annulment or healing, that breaking of the vow in your life. Okay, this touches the nature of marriage, which is a sacrament. Well, now we're getting into same-sex couples being blessed, and look, everyone is welcome for a blessing. Okay, that's what the end of Mass is about. At the end of Mass is a general blessing. They say, stand for the blessing. They don't ask you, hey, are you same-sex? Are you opposite sex?
When did you go to confession last?
Green or yellow? Yeah, that we don't distinguish that way. God doesn't distinguish that way. You're all the people of God. You want a blessing, that's where you get it. But the very idea that now we're going to carve out a document, and he has, and this document stipulates a particular category of persons, and more than that, if you go down the line, same-sex relations remain a sin in the Catholic Church. That's what's on the paper. Now, if it's not a sin, then why are you having a special carve-out blessing just for this particular sin? I mean, are we going to have adulterer blessings tomorrow? Are we going to have mobster blessings, terrorist blessings? What's next? This is my problem.
Don't suggest these things, Raymond. They're listening. They might take that up.
I know, but look, we can't confuse people. The church should not
That's
be
the biggest problem I have with it. The point of having a magisterium, of having a teaching church, is to teach, and to teach you need to be clear. You can't walk away more confused than you were before the document was put out. All right.
No.
Well, I've said it to you before.
Everybody, and so are blessings. That's great. But when you do these carve-outs, it makes it sound like I have a special type of sin that needs to be elevated and normalized to the point where it's really not a sin anymore. And that's what I mean about using the practice to change the doctrine.
Raymond Arroyo, I think I've said it. I know I said it to you off the air, but I'll say it on the air too. We never knew how good we had it with John Paul II, Saint John Paul II, and soon to be Saint Benedict the 16th. And I feel like, in a weird way, this is Francis just reminding us how great they were by putting us through this papacy.
Look, this is the end of a papacy. I mean, obviously the Pope is his health is not well, and I think at the end of a papacy, bizarre things happen. Governance goes sideways. Weird documents start coming out. Enemies start flying out of the way and getting knocked out. It's traditionally what happens, but never with this type of ferocity. So we shall see. The new year is coming, and hope springs eternal, Larry.
See everything that Raymond does on EWTN, certainly, and all of his programs are on YouTube. They're very educational, very informative, and well done, of course. And his album, Merry and Bright, Christmas Classics, RaymondArroyoChristmas.com. Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas to you, and celebrate all 12 days, I hope. We'll
talk
soon.
Right up to Epiphany.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.
It's 8:46. Let's get to Jamie Whitten, who's just chilling out there with some gold, frankincense, and myrrh in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
I absolutely am.
So this news item is being floated out there. It's a trial balloon of sorts, I guess, that Trump is asking his close associates what they think of a Trump-Haley ticket, that Trump would pick Nikki Haley as his running mate. And I find this very hard to believe. It feels like a PSYOPs campaign to me. But what do you make of this? Is that a reality? Is that something that would work?
Well, I think people view Nikki Haley as more moderate. They view her as strong on foreign affairs. He might think that a woman sort of moderates him. I mean, I can see the logic here. She certainly isn't seen as a MAGA candidate. But she
also hasn't been anti-Trump.
Well, exactly. Yes, I agree.
But what's weird is the thing that people like about Trump, Nikki Haley represents the opposite of that.
Well, exactly. But I think, but let's say he picked Carrie Lake. Okay. I mean, that's MAGA and MAGA, right?
Right.
So I think the idea is she softens him. She's strong on foreign policy. She's very measured. I mean, some of her stuff, the girl boss, I wear high heels and, I cannot stand if you want something done right, ask a woman. But she's seen as a more moderate candidate.
Of all the candidates on the debate stage right now who's participating, Vivek Ramaswamy sort of represents the Trump wing, right?
Yeah.
And he's been the most actively
pro-Trump,
vociferously
defensive, yes,
anti-Nikki, like attacking
right.
Nikki Haley.
Right.
I mean, so
are you suggesting that Trump is a little bit unpredictable, Larry?
I think what he's thinking is, I know the people who support me don't like Nikki Haley, but it's not like they're not going to vote for me if I pick her.
Right,
exactly. And he's thinking I might pick up some people who are a little, who might normally vote for Biden, but because I got Haley.
If Vivek thought his upfront, forward-facing, pro-Trump messaging was going to put him in first place for a VP slot, I got some news for him. Trump doesn't feel like he owes Vivek.
So you think this is a real thing? You think
it could be? I think it could be.
Wow.
I mean, on the other hand, I think that MAGA people really resent Nikki Haley.
Right.
They don't like her. So he's running that risk, but nothing will sway some of these hardcore MAGA people away from Trump. We've seen that.
Right. I think he's counting on that.
Right. And
he
so
says they're going to vote for me no matter who I pick.
I think he wants to sway some persuadable independent women.
Right.
He wants to, and even some like pretty hardcore conservative women don't like Trump, and so I think this is that I can see this. Being
it's like Reagan picking Bush in '80, because they were very much polar opposites of the Republican Party. It's not quite as extreme as the difference between Haley and Trump, but I think Trump's calculation here is, I won't lose any votes if I pick Haley, but I will gain votes.
Trump did the same thing with Pence. He needed the evangelicals. Trump needs women. So there you go.
8:53.